Link up, ayy. You just hit my line for the wind down. There's only one thing on my mind when you come around me. I get lost in where you found me. Want you to use me. You let her confuse me. Don't wanna hide the fact that you make me feel that way. Want you to give me play. I see it in your eyes, you're lonely. Come put that body on me. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. Nobody do you like I will. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. They can't do you like I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make you feel. I hit it right, I will. I treat you right, I will. They can't do you like I will. Like I will. Pick up the phone, little baby. You got me up and I'm wavy. You know I want you to myself. You know you've been driving me crazy. Look at me right in the eye and tell me it's mine. If not, I'ma make it that way. You know I want you in a major way. I bless that body, make you share your grace. I've been trying to get you face to face. Wanna fall through and give you ways to waste. I do what it takes. I make them walls sing on your heartstrings. Say your arms. I treat you right, I will. I treat you right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make it feel. I treat you right, I will. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby. Know how to make it feel. I hit it right, I will. Trust me, I got you, baby.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So shout out to everybody that's in the room. It's good to see each and every one of you guys. If you guys can, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat if you can hear me okay. If you cannot hear me okay, give me a thumbs down or an angry face. Just so everybody is aware, the stream is probably going to be pretty short. It's going to take you right into the React stream that's scheduled at 3:30, and then we will go from there, which will be a different topic. However, I'm going to try to get through as much stuff over here as I can quickly, because there's some interesting stuff that I want to talk about before it gets old. All right. So shout out to Volvo2 Love. Shout out to Shamika Gray. We got Jacoby Demisi in the building. What's good with it? We got MC. We got Deneen Grant. Shout out to you, Deneen. We got Brooklyn Queen 125. Shout out to you, Brooklyn Queen. We got Lloyd Sky 9. We got Wallow J in the building. We got a bit of everything. Shout out to a bit of everything. We got DC Precise. All right, and I think that's it. So shout out to y'all, man. It's good to see each and every one of you guys. This migrant crisis is extremely expensive. I don't know if people are aware, but we're going to take a look at some of the costs real quick. One of the costs is the cost that Mexico is putting out there, okay? Because Mexico is throwing around some numbers. Now, I don't know if anybody saw this the other day, but on the Magatron channel, and if you're not subscribed to the Magatron channel, make sure you take a minute and go over there and subscribe. We listened to a clip of Trump where he was talking about Mexico charging $20 billion for migrants. And I promised you guys that I would look into that and see if there was any validity to it. I'm going to let you guys decide after we look at a couple of reports.
Now to some news across Texas. In the ongoing negotiations to control the southern border, Mexico has requested some concessions from the U.S. in return for the cooperation, but some Texas lawmakers are pushing back. Mexican President Lopez.
Now, here goes my question. Why is there a negotiation? You would think that Mexico should just be doing this on the strength of they should be doing this because this would be good for them as well. I don't know why they would want to have all these undocumented people in their countries as well. Clearly, they don't seem to mind, and they want to try to leverage this to try to get something out of the United States. Let's continue.
Obrador called on the U.S. to provide $20 billion of aid for Latin American countries. He argues this will address the poverty and instability fueling migration.
So did you guys see that? Mexico's president is calling on the United States for $20 billion for aid for Latin American countries, not just Mexico, for Latin American countries. So what this sounds like is that this Mexican president is looking to get, quote unquote, a quote unquote form, quote unquote, of economic, quote unquote, reparation for the Latin American countries, because he says that he wants to get this in order to repair the economic instability that was caused by the United States government. I don't know if the United States plans on paying this. I would be shocked and taken back. But at the same time, as disrespectful as the United States is, as bad a judgment as the United States has, and just as dishonest and the lack of integrity that the United States has, I wouldn't be surprised if they paid something like this before they gave us a dime of reparations. You know what I'm saying? But now, how many people heard about this? If you guys heard that this Mexican president is calling on the U.S. to give $20 billion, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't hear about this, then give me a thumbs down. Now, here's another question. How many people have you heard calling this a handout? How many people have you heard, saying that this is a handout? They want free stuff. Not too many people saying that. Not too many people talking about this too much.
$20 billion of aid for Latin American countries. He argues this will address the poverty and instability fueling migration. But Texas Senator John Cornyn called that a ransom. He's also pushing back on the White House's request for more money to process asylum claims. And here's what he said on the Senate floor Tuesday afternoon.
Large portions of the bill, especially those related to the border, would actually make the problem worse. So the Senate cannot and will not rubber stamp the president's supplemental funding request. There's no chance.
In a statement, a White House official tells us they encourage Congress to pass their legislation that would provide a path to citizenship for people who lived and worked in the U.S. for years.
Now, here's my question. How does the path to citizenship address the border crisis? Do you guys see? This is anytime we deal with anything and anytime these people come with any kind of suggestion, that's the first thing that we got to ask is how does this address the border crisis? So I'm going to ask you guys, how does everything that they've been talking about so far, how does any of this stuff address the border crisis? Shout out to Torian. What's good with it, bro? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 31 people watching and we got 18 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 40, that'd be great.
They are still negotiating with Congress, but any deal appears far off.
All right, so there's that. All right. So hold on real quick. All right. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Oh, I think we might maybe let's actually look at this. Hold on. Let's take a look at this. This is Democrats denouncing Biden's border proposal. Okay. So remember, we're paying attention to what these things are. If they even address the border. Okay. And in most cases, they don't. In most cases, they just want pathways to citizenship and work permits.
2 border congressmen from Texas are among 14 Democrats who supported a House resolution this week denouncing what they call President Biden's lax border security. U.S. Representatives Vicente Gonzalez of McAllen and Henry Cuellar of Laredo on Wednesday voted in favor of the resolution, which says there is a public safety crisis. It urges President Biden to end his administration's open borders policies. The measure passed the GOP-led House by 225 to 187 votes. All Republicans voted for it. Cuellar tells BorderReport.com that he is frustrated with lenient parole criteria for asylum seekers.
I don't like exactly the language that's there, but I think the Biden administration can certainly do a lot more at securing the border. It's very simple. It's what I've been saying for many years. Detain and deport the people that don't qualify.
Now, you guys see that's a Latino guy that's trying to get people to be deported. So just, that's something to note. You know what I'm saying?
Security is at the forefront of a threatened government shutdown. However, earlier today, President Joe Biden signed a short-term spending bill sent by Congress that would avert the partial government shutdown and fund federal agencies into March. BorderReport.com has more details on this story at KTSM.com.
All right, so there's that. Okay, so now we're going to take a quick look at a Fox News report about this exact same thing. Shout out to Miss Nisi. What's good with it, Miss Nisi? If you guys haven't hit that like button, please take a moment, hit that like button. Shout out to you, Jerry Bedford. If you guys haven't shared the stream from wherever you're watching, take a minute. Make sure you guys share the stream. All right.
Of Mexico, Manuel Lopez Obrador issued a list of demands if we want his help with the border crisis. This is what he wants. He wants Biden to give $20 billion to Latin American countries.
What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that that's a viable solution? If they give this $20 billion to Latin American countries, I think that a lot of people will flip out. These are the Mexican president's demands in exchange for help with the border. If he doesn't get these things, then he's not going to give help with the border. $20 billion to Latin American countries. Grant work visas for 10 million Hispanics. Now, notice he didn't say anything about any of the other people. End sanctions against Venezuela. Why? End the blockade of Cuba. Why? Why is the Mexican president invested in that? Yeah, facts. First word of the title, extortion. What do you guys think? You guys agree with Miss Nisi? If you guys agree with Miss Nisi, give me a thumbs up. If you all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Wants to grant work visas for 10 million Hispanics already in America, end sanctions, all of them, against Venezuela, and end the blockade of Cuba. Senator Roger Marshall is here. Senator, I think that is a humiliation for our president. What say you?
You're absolutely right, Stu. This feels like Mexico just took Joe Biden's lunch pail.
Yeah.
How dare they do this? But this is what happens when you have a president operating from a point of weakness, that there's chaos going on, that his secretary of DHS does not have operational control of the border, We need to be operating from a point of strength. We need to control our border, first of all. We need to change policies and then negotiate with the Mexican president. And we need to go back to the Remain in Mexico policies. That what we're not using as leverage is the fact that Mexico is our #1 trade partner, that we're their #1 trade partner. Almost $1 trillion of trade going back and forth. We have a $130 billion trade deficit with Mexico. You know, thanks to the USMCA trade agreement, the trade has grown, but let's use that deficit as leverage. Let's don't give him another $20 billion.
But do you think our president will use that leverage? You're right, and we do have leverage on.
I don't think that Joe Biden will use the leverage. I don't think that Joe Biden is smart enough to negotiate his way into a better situation. And honestly, I don't think that Joe Biden is even invested in it. I think that Joe Biden would just take the easy way out, and if bending the knee and paying this just unimaginable amount of money, I think that Joe Biden is just that simple that he'd do it, because Joe Biden is a simpleton. Shout out to Adrian Hicks. What's good with it, bro? Joe Biden is not the brightest light on the lamp, not the sharpest tool in the box. You know what I'm saying? A couple pieces of bread short of a sandwich. What do you guys think?
Trade and all kinds of things. But is Biden prepared to use it?
Of course not. He operates as he's very reactive. He's never proactive. He's never thinking to the next move ahead of this. And he gave the president of Mexico the first shot. You know, so this president of Mexico is negotiating through the press. Those are unreasonable demands. But meanwhile, we have 1.7 million gotaways across the country. We have 300,000 people that have died from fentanyl poisoning. We do not have operational control of the border. And that's why on the Senate floor today, we're going to be offering a resolution as a vote of no confidence in the Secretary of DHS.
Okay, if a vote of no confidence goes through, or if he's impeached, it doesn't really make any difference at the border, does it? Because the same situation is still in place.
Yeah, and that could also be said for a lot of the ways that they talk about attacking this problem. Anytime you hear work permits, anytime you hear work visas, anytime you hear fast tracking to citizenship, you got to ask yourself the question: how do those things directly affect the stopping of undocumented border crossings and encounters? And they don't. Dealing with the encounters and crossings is the only way that they are ever going to be able to deal with this problem. So anything that they talk about that is not doing those things, it's nonsense. You know what I'm saying? It's a smokescreen. So don't fall for it. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys take a moment, show Brooklyn Queen some love with the 10 ducats. Definitely appreciate it. Please throw some radiation emoji and flames in the chat for Brooklyn Queen. Definitely appreciate it.
It certainly does, but I think that it certainly brings attention. Look, we need to fire Secretary Marcus today, and America needs to fire Joe Biden in 300 days. I think that's the emphasis. We cannot talk enough about this. This is the #1 issue that folks are talking about back home, is that they feel that their lives are being threatened, that we don't have operational control of the...
Now, I want you guys to keep that in mind. Life being threatened. All right? Keep that in mind, because that's important.
Border, and we need to keep this right in the front and center for Americans. This is their concern. Americans are demanding accountability.
Do you think that the border has now become issue #1 above the economy?
Now, remember when we asked this question? We literally asked this question. Shout out to Crew Reality. What's good with it? We asked this question a couple days ago.
I think from an emotional standpoint, it is too. I think on the polling, I understand it. If it's polling, people are very concerned about the price of groceries and gasoline. Absolutely. But from this emotional level, what I hear people talk the most about back home is their concern for their southern border, that it's an open border, that there's no control of the border. You're right, that the economics of this president has created inflation.
Now, these economics of Joe Biden, these economic policies and all of these things, this is what they call Bidenomics. So, you know, there should be somebody with tape, a cash register tape, and we'd be able to calculate all of the undue and unnecessary costs that Bidenomics have imposed on the United States. Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. Lloyd Sky 9 says an MS-13 member deleted a PC girl in California. Illegal. Undocumented bro. Undocumented bro. Is anybody shocked? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 45 people watching. We got 37 likes. If everybody could take a moment, smash that like button and get us to 60, that would be great.
He needs to bear accountability for that. And again, that's why we need to fire Joe Biden in 300 days.
Senator Roger Marshall, thanks for joining us, sir. Always.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some more costs. We looked at the cost that Mexico wants to charge the United States, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some calculations of how much this situation is costing taxpayers, okay?
Right now, many voters say the migrant crisis is among the most important issue in America. The millions of migrants who have crossed illegally is coming at an enormous cost to hardworking American taxpayers. And joining us right now to break down the numbers is founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Good morning to you, sir. There were 2.5 million encounters, more than that, at the border in 2023. Break down the numbers for us.
Well, Jan, it was a record year on migrants with encounters at the border crossings at 2.5 million.
You guys see this? Make sure that you guys pay attention to this spreadsheet, because this spreadsheet is going to do exactly what I talked about just a second ago. It's going to itemize and show all of these numbers. Now, this is these numbers here. This is ridiculous. This is equivalent to having the front door open. You know what I'm saying? And you got to ask yourself the question, is it really wise to continue to have a president that is okay with having the front door open? How do you guys feel?
And if you break down those numbers, there's only 400,000 that come from other countries outside of those from South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. So the number one country of origin for these encounters was Mexico, with nearly 1 out of 3 of the encounters from folks with an origin from Mexico. But
so you got to ask yourself the question, knowing this, and after hearing this, we got to ask this question about these pictures of these African migrants that they keep showing. How do you explain these African migrants that they keep showing? They keep showing all these pictures of all these African migrants, New York Post being one of the main ones. Let me ask you guys this. Do you see any black countries on here? Some of these countries like Venezuela, or no, some of these countries like Colombia and Haiti, Peru has some black people, right? But there's not a large concentration. There's no African countries. They mentioned Senegalese. They mentioned Senegal. And I believe Sierra Leone was another one on Fox News. Where's Senegal and Sierra Leone? On here, these would be considered in part of the group of other. And other is at the bottom. Haiti is toward the bottom. All of the countries that would probably have some more black people are closer to the bottom. So you got to ask yourself about these optics that they show when they show these pictures of what's going on in New York City and in Chicago, all these Somalians. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DeAndre. What's good with it, bro?
But then you have a myriad of South and Central and Caribbean countries. 1.4 million encounters came from countries, for instance, like Venezuela, Guatemala, Honduras, Colombia, and Cuba.
What has been the response from the federal government over the past 2 years? Break down the taxpayer-provided benefits that these migrants receive.
Get ready for this. These are the benefits that the migrants receive that directly come from your taxpayer dollars. Okay? Shout out to Win Loser Rug. What's good with it, bro? Okay? These are the benefits that the migrants receive that come directly from taxpayer dollars, that you didn't have a choice in whether, you know, the government decided to spend the money in this way or not.
Well, the federal government agencies have, quite frankly, been absolutely overwhelmed. So you have, for instance, the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And just in the last 2 years, taxpayers have put $20 billion into that office. And last year in 2023, the funding was up $2 billion in 1 year.
Must be nice. Just throwing around this money. Office of Refugee Resettlement. You guys can see the words right up on the screen there. Office of Refugee Resettlement and Justice. I'm sorry, in just the last 2 years, taxpayers have spent $20 billion on that. Every dollar that taxpayers spend on these kind of situations are dollars that will not be reinvested back into taxpayers or things that are necessary for the taxpayers.
To deal with the crush of migrants at the border crossings. And so here's a list of the public benefits that you receive coming out of that office. So, for example, you get emergency housing support, you get a work authorization, you get public benefits application.
Look at all this stuff. I want to make sure, because these people say that this isn't true. People say that this stuff here is not true. But we're listening to it. We've listened to it multiple times. It is true. Look at all the benefits that they're getting. Yeah, Fox News always shows black immigrants. Shout out to Chris. Chris says they aren't getting work authorizations that easy.
And so here's a list of the public benefits that you receive coming out of that office. So, for example, you get emergency housing support, you get a work authorization, you get public benefits application, you get a medical exam, school enrollment, cultural orientation, mental health services, and legal services. So the benefits are very lucrative.
Yeah, it goes on and on. Now, the director of the federal agency from the Office of Refugee Resettlement, you say, has a conflict of interest. How significant is her conflict?
Well, Jan, we're always worried about agency capture from outside third-party organizations who want to make sure that their federal funding streams from taxpayers remain consistent. And so Robin Dunmarco, she heads up the Office of Refugee Resettlement, and she comes out of the industry for 27 years from two of the top organizations that receive the most, hundreds of millions of dollars every single year in federal grants. And one of them is the International Rescue Committee, where she spent 23 years in an executive capacity. And just last year, her first full year on the job as director, their funding increased from $138 million in grants from her agency up to $235 million in 1 year, an increase of nearly $100 million. Now, we reached out to her and to the agency for comment, and they said, yes, it's a conflict of interest. For 2 years, she's recused from any decisions with that entity, but that recusal ends this September 11th of this year.
Why was this individual able to serve anyway? Why would they let somebody like that make the decisions? I mean, this kind of stuff is just wild to me.
And so we're calling on Congress to hold hearings to actually make sure that the agency hasn't been captured by her former employers.
Speaking of hearings, meantime, there's been plenty of those congressional hearings and investigations over the number of children who have crossed the border and then just disappeared from the system. What are those numbers, and how significant is the threat to these kids?
Well, this is a human health catastrophe. You have the unintended consequences in the last 2 years alone of 260,000 unaccompanied minors at the border crossings. These are kids under 18 years of age that don't come across with a parent or a guardian. And that's equivalent to the population of Anchorage, Alaska, and 85.
All right, now, let me ask you guys this. How does this occur where these kids, these unattended kids, are at the border? I mean, this whole situation is just insane. Shout out to Cameron. What's good with it? Facts. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Win, Lose, or Rug. Win, Lose, or Rug said since freedom, Black Americans have had to figure out how to fit into this system on our own, despite it being built to subvert our efforts. Facts. If you guys agree with Win, Lose, or Rug, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I agree 100%.
5,000, according to the New York Times, of those unaccompanied minors have been lost in the system. That they don't return phone calls from the agency. And so Robin Dunn Marcos, she's in charge of this. She was in front of Congress last April, and she refused to question whether the sponsor vetting system was broken. She refused to confirm the 85,000 lost children in the system, according to the New York Times. And so, look, we have a lack of answers. We've got tens of billions of dollars flowing. We've got conflicts of interest, and Congress, again, needs to start digging in here.
Founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Thanks.
All right, so there's that. You know what I'm saying? There's that. Tracking this money. All right, so now, I don't know if you guys heard, but there was a journalist who was down at the southern border who recently was threatened. How many people heard about that? Shout out to Extant. What's good with it? And shout out to DeAndre. Make sure y'all show DeAndre some love for being a like enforcer. And shout out to Miss Nisi for being a bot enforcer. Appreciate it. How many people heard about this situation where this journalist got threatened down there at the border? Now, this is an interesting situation. This is an interesting situation. And the reason why this is an interesting situation is because we've been talking about the criminal element, and shout out to Torian, you know what I'm saying, for saying that this is the new crime wave, because it is. This migrant said some disturbing stuff, and we're going to take a look at it. All right? We're going to take a look at it.
He'd been conducting interviews with migrants who crossed into the U.S. Your reaction to that answer: soon you will know who I am.
So I'm so happy that a video surfaced because there's an argument that we've made at the United States Supreme Court, because we have one or two cases in the Supreme Court as we speak right now against the Biden administration about illegal immigration. And as the court weighs and considers our defense against the Biden lawsuit, they have to consider whether or not there is an invasion going on. I have asserted in court that there is an invasion going on in the United States of America, and that videotape typifies why there is such an invasion. That is a threat to the United States of America.
Now, I'm going to show you guys something else too, because remember, how many people recall, who remembers where the majority of the migrants originate from? If you guys remember where the majority of the migrants originate from, give me where they come from in the comment section. There's a reason why I'm asking this. Okay? When you guys put where the majority of the migrants come from, I'm going to highlight it up on the screen. And by that time, we'll probably be done with this video. And then we'll go into the next topic.
What he said. But it's not a one-off threat. We see things like that happen every single day. So, Maria, my hope is that the United States Supreme Court and courts across the country, they see exactly what's happening on our border. It's not what happened under Bush or under Trump or under Obama. This is something completely different that has never happened before in the history of the country. This is an invasion by people we don't know who they are, where they're coming from, or the danger they may pose. And so it's right for Texas to have taken up the steps that we have taken to crack down on the illegal crossings, to declare it an invasion, and use every tool we can to do the job that Biden is not doing, and that's to try to deny illegal entry into our country.
Yeah, and that invasion happened after Joe Biden walked into the Oval Office when he first started his term and started reversing all of President Trump's border security. So, Governor, I ask you, do you have evidence that in Texas you see things like theft and murder and upset? Do you have evidence that...
So, do you guys notice how Governor Abbott directly mentioned border security? See, he's talking like somebody that actually wants to deal with this. He didn't say anything about work permits, work authorizations, none of that. He said border security. That's how you know who wants to deal with this problem versus who doesn't. Very simple test. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Some of that is the result of potential gotaways or potential illegals in your state right now?
So, Maria, just as one example, there was a horrific murder of a young teen cheerleader in a high school. a little bit north of where the border area is, and this was a few months back. Maria, things like this happen way too often, and Fox News has reported multiple crimes by illegal immigrants over the past couple of months, and this is something happening every single day.
Wow.
But what we don't know is the full extent of the terror that has been imported into the country because of all the people who are on the terrorist watch list. We know the record number who've been apprehended, but people on the terrorist watch list, they pay more to not be apprehended. No
Wow.
one knows how many terrorists are in our country because of the open border policies allowed by Biden. One last real quick thing, Maria. People forget how secure a border was. Trump put in place 4 policies that led to a secure border. And when Biden came into office, he eliminated those 4 policies. We can have a president that will impose a secure border.
Yeah, and you've been managing all of this while also producing growth, economic growth in Texas. So my hat's off to you in that regard. But Governor, this morning you are in Mumbai, India. You are leading an economic development mission in India for the next week. Tell me about your trip. A lot of businesses are looking for an alternative to China in terms of producing goods, but they're not so sure if they can find it in India because of the lack of infrastructure. What can you tell us?
Listen, the growth in India is faster than any other large country in the entire world, and we're seeing it firsthand. And Texas already has established extensive trade relationships.
Now, what's interesting about this is that there was people from India in some of those videos who were attempting to get into the United States. You guys remember that when they asked those Indian migrants where they were going, and they told them that they wanted to go to California or they wanted to go to Oklahoma. Then the one guy said, life danger, life danger. Make it make sense. They got a huge economy, and their economy is growing at the fastest rate, according to what Governor Abbott just said. So if your economy is doing so well, then why do you come to the United States and then say that you need to be here as a result of an economic reason? Somebody make that make sense. And there's not really people spending a lot of time on this stuff, asking these questions, breaking this stuff down. And one of the reasons is because they don't want people doing that. They just want people to accept this kind of stuff without questioning it. You know what I'm saying? Make it make sense.
The largest businesses in India. Today, I visited with leaders of Reliance, which is the #1 largest business in India. I met with leaders of Emphasis, with Tata, with Wipro, all of which are in the top 25 largest businesses. And they have their largest operations in the United States or in the state of Texas. So we're here making sure that with those already doing business in Texas, that they will continue to expand that. With those that are not yet doing business in Texas, we're explaining why Texas has repeatedly been ranked the #1 state for doing business and the #1 state for economic development projects, and why we have no income tax, a reasonable regulatory environment. We make it easy for businesses to start and grow. And with India growing the way that it is, it's going to be a robust trade partner.
So now they're talking about some global business, and we don't really need to talk about that. That's kind of not, what I'm saying, really relevant for our purposes, other than exposing the fact that there is economic growth in a lot of these places where these people are coming from. Yet whatever reason, when they get here and get in front of a camera and say that they came here for economic reasons while their economies are growing faster than ours is. And, that just gets to go unaddressed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at this report here from the New York Post. How many people heard about this? Venezuelan sex trafficking gang that brands young girls operating in the United States linked to ex-cop's murder. How many people heard about that? If you heard about that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't hear about that, give me a thumbs down. A brutal Venezuelan street gang that controls sex trafficking in South America by branding women and young girls with tattoos behind their ears is exporting its violence to the United States, according to reports. Now, how do you think that they're doing that export? How do you think that they're doing that exporting of violence to the United States? Tren de Aragua, which is named for the Venezuelan state of Aragua, is now operating in South Florida, following the arrest this week of a suspect wanted in a brutal murder in Miami, according to reports. Yerwin Salazar Meita was charged with the November murder of retired Venezuelan cop outside a hotel near the Miami airport. Miami-Dade authorities say Salazar is linked to the brutal gang. Now, let me ask you guys a question. How do you think Salazar got here? Off of merit and hard work? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 47 people watching, and we got 43 likes. If everybody could take a moment, bang on that like button, and get us to 60 likes, that would be great. Tren de Aragua is led by Hector Guerrero Flores, a 40-year-old fugitive who controlled drug trafficking and human trafficking while he was incarcerated in one of Venezuela's maximum security prisons for more than a decade. He escaped in September, and his whereabouts are unknown. Now, where are people able to move around undocumented and unknown? Where are we able to move around at undocumented and unknown? There's only one place in the world that welcomes that. They treat you right, they will. Arrest warrants in several Latin American countries have been issued for Guerrero, who is known by his moniker El Nino Guerrero. They're probably looking in the wrong place. You know what I'm saying? They're probably looking in the wrong place. Now, Jose Luis Sanchez was found dead in his vehicle outside a Miami hotel in November. Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang, is suspected of being behind the crime. You guys see this dude right here? A wanted poster showing Tren de Aragua leader Hector Guerrero, whose gang has shown up in South Florida. Now, one thing that they need to start doing is taking these wanted pictures and looking at the news, you know what I'm saying, and comparing these wanted pictures with the people on the news and see if they catch any of these people down there at the border. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't be a bad idea. This here is Yerwin Salazar Meita, an alleged member of Venezuela's most brutal gang. Somehow, he ended up in Miami. That's refreshing, isn't it? His face is swollen like the brick lady. You see that bottom over there? Looks like he's got goiter, but on the side of his jaw. Sometimes it just seems like, you know, certain people have misshapen faces. It's real strange. But anyway, in Florida, a homicide investigation linked to Tren de Aragua began late last year when authorities began probing the deletion of a former Venezuelan police officer lured to his death by two women, according to reports. So, you know, this dude thought that he was about to have a good time, and it killed him. You know what I'm saying? He used these women. You got to be careful, man. You gotta be careful. He thought he was about to have a good time. Homeboy thought he was about to kick it. He thought he was about to sit up there and lamp down there in Miami. You know what I'm saying? In a penthouse. Nice drink. Nice night. Ended up being night. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Probably had two models, decent looking. You know what I'm saying? Thought he was about to have a good time. That's the last time that he had. The victim, Jose Luis Sanchez, was enticed by the women to get a hotel near Miami airport. Yeah, he thought he was about to get it in, where suspected gang members robbed him and deleted him. Now, if he wasn't such a simp and wasn't acting like that was the last tail that he was ever going to get, he might have been thinking straight and might be alive today. You know what I'm saying? Somebody tickled his nose with some tail feather. You know what I'm saying? And now he's pushing up daisies. The victim, Jose Luis Sanchez, was enticed by the two women to go to the hotel near Miami airport where the suspected gang members robbed and deleted him. The victim was found dead with his hands and feet bound with tape inside of a vehicle, according to reports. So that's him. You see us down there? Jose Luis Sanchez. You know what I'm saying? He thought he was about to get one of them Epstein massages and end up getting a hot lead massage. You know what I'm saying? The suspects later robbed the victim's apartment, where they found a safe containing gold in a bathroom, according to a report from Telemundo, a Spanish-language network. Guerrero has ruled his criminal enterprise from inside the Talkin prison, which is about 100 miles southwest of Caracas, with the help of his brother, Chazon Rover Guerrero, and his brother-in-law, Neymar Antonio Aldana, among others. The gang, which is suspected of money laundering and human trafficking, has more than 4,000 members, according to Spanish-language news reports. Now, why is this important? Because Venezuelans make up a large amount of the migrants that are coming to the United States. Caracas. Good look, Cameron. Caracas. Venezuelan migrants make up a large amount of the migrants that are coming into the United States. If you're coming into the United States undocumented, it's possible that people like these missing people from these prisons could be among the people that are coming to the United States undocumented. Biden's policies are the reason why people like are getting into. That's why they're getting in. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got more, but I do not have more time. So we'll definitely get into some more of this next time. For now, don't move a muscle. Stay in the stream. It'll take you right into Reacts. We'll be starting Reacts in about 5 to 10 minutes. All right. So I definitely appreciate each and every one of you all. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen for being a stream sponsor. Please make sure you guys show her some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat for her. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,
walk up in this life. Yeah, I'm really talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all don't talk up. Demon say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee, that's on TV, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that fake. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature? That's like every other week. Talk behind my back. I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this light. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this light. Hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey.